Hello. Thank you for clicking. This video will not be for everyone, and I'm hoping that it finds its audience of inquiring thinkers. I've been doing research on the Tudor family and how they may have been of African descent from France. Given what I have found, it appears that they looked very different from the paintings littering the internet. And this video will hopefully explain my process in making the reconstructions, which I will reveal towards the end. Erasure of cultural identity is something apparent throughout history, and I feel that there is an urgency in giving these noble people their faces back, and their legacy. So I'll start with Elizabeth. As there is only one painting of Elizabeth of York online, which does not give us any clues, I took a look at portraits of her mother, Elizabeth Woodville. The name on her own tomb is spelt with VII. Queen's College, Cambridge has a collection of 10 paintings all made after her death, right up to 1800. The earliest known version is this one, and it says. This version has been badly overpainted, so that much detail has been lost, including the veil. A later copy shows how the veil may have hung over the back of her bonnet. My thought is that sheer fabric would have been used to protect the hair, not the bonnet, so these depictions make no sense. If we're talking about the possibility of an African hairstyle, then perhaps the hair came out at the back, such as here. And then I found this. Interestingly, her hairstyle matches with one I found of the Yoruba people of Ondo Province, Nigeria. Elizabeth's mother was said to be the most beautiful woman in the island of Britain, with heavy-lidded eyes like those of a dragon. That's about all I could find on Elizabeth and her mother. Now let's have a look at Henry. So I found this picture of Henry which shows a wide nose bridge and cleft chin, which had me looking everywhere for a phenotype and country that matched, with the large low-down ears and wavy lips. I knew from these coins of his son that I was on the right track because they both displayed a chunky nose. However, I am now having suspicion that something is not right between the two Henrys. There is major difference between Henry VII and VIII nose shape, and I'm starting to wonder if they were not father and son at all. Could the illustration have been made in the image of these Henry VIII coins? We also have these coins, of Henry VII that the portraits are based on. But before we talk more on his appearance, I want to take a look at his mother, for any clues. This portrait was painted by 16th century Netherlands artist Maynard Wiewick. Wiewick was an active member of King Henry VII's court during his reign and became his preferred painter. It may be the earliest known full-length portrait of an English woman. The first thing I wanted to do was to put it into Photoshop and see what may be brought to light. The diamond badge appeared to show at first a face of a man, but more likely a fleur-de-lis, on the left. It could be a family crest. Perhaps 4 separate faces. We can also see strange geometric sigils all over the background, zeros, 2 score, 3 score. What appears to be a Houses of Parliament logo behind her. Interestingly, there is a portrait of George Boleyn, brother of Anne, which has 2 and 3 score designs. The whole thing looks like it has been heavily overpainted, and there are drips of lacquer wash, probably to deter anyone from easily revealing the paint layers. I came back to this painting a few days later and had this intuitive thought that the face and hands are not original but have been cut and pasted over the true face. Anyone graphic artist will know that telltale mismatch of contrast when put through Photoshop, it just doesn't look right. There is also what looks like glue around the hairline, so this is a pretty shoddy job if my suspicion is correct. The studio lit effect is to make up for the darkness which has been applied. And we know that this background darkening was done because of this painting here. Conservators found evidence of at least 4 campaigns of extensive overpainting of the original portrait, with Lady Margaret's face being fully repainted at one point in history. Close inspection revealed Lady Margaret's real face had been in hiding, and that overpainting had made her face appear taller, her eyes more deep-set and her mouth pursed tight. From a YouTube comment. There are no extant portraits painted in her own lifetime. Most are poor quality late 16th century copies of lost paintings that may have been painted during her lifetime, or even copies of copies. So let's go back to Henry. These coins show relaxed afro hair, no doubt about it. The long nose flares from bridge to tip, as displayed by my artistic impression. The nostrils are flared upward slightly and the face is soft. There's a fullness to the cheeks, which we can also see in something I found, named the Sudbury Hutch. Quote, the doors are carved with characteristic portraits of Henry VII and Elizabeth of York. As the king bears his crown and scepter and the queen her crown, with hair long and flowing as at her coronation, one can only presume the hutch was made to commemorate this event. Taken from Percy McCoy's book The Age of Oak, printed in 1938. The author says that this would have been commissioned by the royal couple, so the carving must be a good depiction of their true faces. I noticed something about Elizabeth's necklace. It looks to me like it could be a conch shell, and she is of the French line of royalty, where we have seen gold shells decorating hats and necklaces, with Louis XII, see my shot about him. And this refers to the Gold Coast of Ghana, where kings to this day wear headbands adorned with gold shells. Could it be a conch shell, in reference to the ancestral homeland of French nobility? Hung from a gold chain, it would be quite beautiful. And so here is the artistic impression. I think I got the phenotype correct when I saw this state commission coin. The cheekbones are wide and rounded. The hollows of the eyes large. The authorities obviously have a record of his true face somewhere. It's very devious. But he was described as a handsome man, and Elizabeth thought so enough to marry him. For Elizabeth, I didn't have much to go on, but one thing was sure, and that was her eyes. They matched to the eyes of Ghanese women. Then I looked up her father, and found this coin. Look at the width of the nose, it is the same shape as Ghanese noses. I don't think this was a stylistic accident, but was made this way with intention. I'm really excited with these coincidences, as many would call them, and I hope you can see what I am seeing. What do you think of this reconstruction? They make a beautiful king and queen, don't you think? I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. Come back soon because I've got a lot more to reveal.